questions. Jonathan.
Sir, just a short time ago, the president said that I have an absolute right to pardon myself. Why does he think that, and does he also agree with Rudy Giuliani, his lawyer, that a pardon for himself would be unthinkable and would lead to immediate impeachment?
Thankfully, the president hasn't done anything wrong and wouldn't have any need for a pardon.
But does he absolutely rule out doing that? I mean, does he rule out ever issuing a pardon for himself?
Once again, thankfully, the president hasn't done anything wrong and therefore wouldn't need one. Steve?
How does the president respond to this criticism from Republicans about his tariffs against the EU, Canada, and Mexico? How do you reassure these senators and various people who are complaining about this?
Imposing the 232 tariffs protect the steel and aluminum industries because they're very critical to our national security. And for months, the United States has had discussions with Canada, Mexico, and the EU to find an alternative. Without an alternative solution, tariffs are the only measures appropriate to safeguard the country. We have strong relations with Mexico, Canada, and the EU, and will continue, and those will continue even though the tariffs are there. Ken?
Sir, what was the contents of Kim Jong-un's letter to the president that he received last week? And what did the president take away from that? Is he more encouraged based on receiving that letter?
I'm not going to get into the specifics of the letter, but as the president said, they were interesting, and we feel like things are continuing to move forward, and good progress has been made, and we're continuing to prepare for the president's summit. I can tell you the president has been receiving daily briefings on North Korea from his national security team, and I can also tell you the schedule for tentatively for that first meeting will be on June 12th at 9 a.m. Singapore time and take place at June 11th, 9 p.m. East Coast time.
There's a separate report that Vladimir Putin has reached out to Kim Jong-un and wants to meet with him. Is that a meeting that the president think would be constructive to this process? Does the president support Vladimir Putin meeting with Kim Jong-un as well?
Our focus is on the president's meeting with Kim Jong-un, and the president will make his views known directly to him when we're in Singapore, and our focus will continue to be on denuclearization. Mara?
Sarah, why the president tweeted that the special counsel law was totally unconstitutional. If that's the case, why is he allowing his own Justice Department to abide by it?
Look, scholars have raised a number of questions about the legality of the special counsel process. The president's made his views about the special counsel very clear, and the president knows that the special counsel isn't needed because, once again, he hasn't done anything wrong. There was no obstruction, no collusion, and no wrongdoing. However, we continue to cooperate.
He's never said the law itself was unconstitutional. How can he allow his own Justice Department to participate in something that's unconstitutional?
Once again, I addressed this. The scholars have raised a number of questions on it, and the president's made his views clear. Francesca?
Thank you, Sarah. I did want to follow up on that and try and figure out what exactly the basis was for the president's claim that it is unconstitutional. But I wanted to ask you about something else as well. EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt has been accused of enlisting taxpayer-funded staffer to not only shop for apartments around Washington, D.C., but also to shop for a used mattress from the president's hotel just around the corner. And I wanted to know if any of that gives the president pause at this point or causes his confidence in Scott Pruitt to waver.
Certainly looking into the matter, I couldn't comment on the specifics of the furniture used in his apartment. John? And certainly would not attempt to. John, go ahead.
Dwell on that for a second and let it sink in.
I'd prefer not to, but go ahead.
You said that significant progress is being made in the diplomatic talks in the DMZ between U.S. and North Korean officials. The big question here is denuclearization. The president would like it to happen all at once. He said that before, but that it could also be a phased-in process. I know that the meeting has yet to take place, but certainly they're trying to iron out some details here. Does it look like it will be in all at once, or is the phase-in more likely?
Look, I'm not going to go ahead and predict a meeting that hasn't even taken place yet. I mean, I can't get into the ongoing diplomatic talks, but I can tell you that they've been positive, and we're looking forward to the meeting in Singapore. Stephen?
No matter what you call it, is maximum pressure still the policy of the United States toward North Korea?
Our policy hasn't changed, and as the president stated, we have sanctions on. They're very powerful, and we would not take those sanctions off unless North Korea denuclearized. Peter?
So let me ask you if I can. Does the president believe that he is above the law?
Certainly not. The president hasn't done anything wrong.
The question isn't if he's done anything wrong. I guess the question is, does the president believe the framers envisioned a system where the president couldn't pardon himself, where the president could be above the law?
Certainly, the Constitution very clearly lays out the law, and once again, the president hasn't done anything wrong, and we feel very comfortable in that front.
I know, but you just a moment ago said it's not that clear. So I guess simply put, does the president believe he is above the law?
Certainly, no one is above the law.
Let me ask you
Vivian, go ahead.
If I can't follow, just because I
Sorry,
haven't
no,
been here in a
I'm
while.
going to keep going right here.
I just want to ask you, this is an
Sorry,
important
Peter,
one
we're
because
gonna
it's
keep
about.
moving. Go
I'll just
ahead.
keep asking if I can. The
Peter, no,
president.
you can actually.
Well,
Go
actually, I'm
ahead.
going to, Sarah. I think this is important. I haven't
I'm
had a
going to
chance to ask this
continue to
question.
move on.
Sarah,
Sarah, thanks.
Right here, and then I'll
All
go.
right, thanks.
That's the question.
Go ahead.
Sarah, what's the status of the tariffs on China? Does the administration still plan to move ahead with the June 15th deadline, as they stated?
President Trump is taking steps to continue to reform the dysfunctional trade system that currently harms American workers and businesses, and the president is taking steps to protect U.S. technology and intellectual property from China's discriminatory and burdensome trade practices. We're going to continue in those negotiations. As you know, I put out a statement earlier this morning that those conversations continue. Brian, we're going to keep moving. Go ahead, Brian.
Two quick questions. One, I've asked this before, is there any chance we could ever see the president come out here and take some questions from us in this briefing room? And secondly, has anyone in this administration ever asked the president, last week you had on your an agenda where you had lower jobs coming out, lower unemployment coming out, and you also had the Second Chance Act, I think it was. And instead of those, we had to respond to presidential tweets. Has anybody ever in this administration asked him to back away from Twitter just for a day?
On the first question, certainly you guys would be the first to know if the president comes out here, but thankfully he does address the press in a number of ways and in a number of venues, and we'll see if it happens here, and we'll certainly let you know. In terms of Twitter, the president uses Twitter to communicate directly to the American people. Frankly, you have the ability to choose what you want to write about, and you guys choose to write about things that the American people don't care about day in and day out, and that's a decision that you make, and frankly, I think it's the wrong one. Jordan, go ahead.
We don't have the opportunity to ask him a
Jordan.
question about that, though, Sarah. Can we at least get an opportunity to ask him a question
Jordan,
about
go
what
ahead.
he tweets?
Thanks, Sarah. I want to ask you about the lawyer's letter to the special counsel. You said last August that the president did not dictate the statement about the Trump Tower meeting during the campaign, but the lawyers wrote to the special counsel that the president did dictate that statement. What's the reason for that discrepancy?
Like you said, this is from a letter from the outside counsel, and I direct you to them to answer that question. Deborah?
Wrong information?
Once again, you're referencing a letter that came directly from outside counsel, and I would refer you to them to answer that question. Deborah?
After Kim Kardashian's visit, thank you, Sarah, is President Trump considering a commutation for Alice Johnson, who already has served 21 years of a life without parole sentence?
The president's considering a number of different pardons and commutations, and when we have an announcement on that, we'll certainly let you guys know. John?
Thanks a lot, Sarah. Since Robert Mueller was named the special counsel over a year ago, the president's team, his legal team, the Justice Department has never challenged the constitutionality of the special counsel. And yet the president today is doing just that. Why hasn't either the Justice Department or the president's legal team challenged the constitutionality? They have the right to do so in federal court, and yet they haven't done so.
Again, scholars have raised a number of questions about the legality.
But specifically, those two entities have not done it. The president's own lawyers have not done it, Sarah, and they can do so.
You would have to ask them. I'm not here to speak on behalf of the outside counsel.
What about the Justice Department? Can you speak on behalf of the Justice
I would
Department?
refer you to the Justice Department. They have a pretty large comms team. They'd be happy to answer those questions. Steve?
Sarah, I'm wondering if the White House stands by the comments that were made by the U.S. ambassador to Germany, who said that he was backing anti-establishment conservatives to take power in Europe. Seems like a very unusual thing for a U.S. diplomat to say towards friendly countries.
I don't have any updates on that front at this point. Blake?
Let me ask you, turn your attention back to trade for the farmers out there who care less about the politics, who have to run a business every day. There was a farmer in Iowa who told one of our crews out there this morning, he said, it's hard to know which way to jump right now. As in, they don't know what decisions they should make for their businesses because of what is playing out here in Washington, here in China, NAFTA negotiations as well. What would you tell those folks out there